Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Terry with College Football Stop. Bring you another show today, November 6th, 2023. I'm excited to talk about another huge weekend of college football. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on around the landscape right now. So let's talk about it. I want to go through Ohio State's position grades for me from the Rutgers game. Kind of an ugly game. Not the game you want to see if you're an Ohio State fan, but got the win, 9-0. I mean, you got to be happy about that. One of the topics, obviously, is Ohio State still the number one team? Should they be the number one team? We're going to dig into that a little bit and kind of look around at what some other teams did this weekend. And then a small update on the Michigan stuff that's going on. So let's go ahead and get into that now. I'm going to start there just because there's not a huge update and I don't want to spend too much time on it. There's a lot of stuff that came out, well, not even came out, I shouldn't even use that term. A lot of rumors going around from Michigan fans saying things like they have evidence that Ryan Day hired a PI firm and Ryan Day was doing all this bad stuff, was stealing signs, was scouting people, just like how Michigan was. I don't believe none of that right now. I mean, until like an official source comes out and says something, then I'll believe that. But as of now, it's kind of I'm looking at that as like people who are kind of desperate for uh, anything to help them. Like anything that's going to take the news or the attention off of what's going on with their program. It's kind of what they're doing right now, in my opinion. I don't know. Like I said, until something official comes out about that, I won't believe it. But if it does, then hey, man, we'll talk about it and we'll go from there. But really, the big update for today. I just right before I went live, I saw a tweet from Pete Thamel, and it says, I'm gonna read the tweet to you. It says, "Don't expect any action by the Big Ten in the Michigan sign stealing case for at least the next 48 hours, as the league sportsmanship rules allow for a reasonable chance to respond to an institution or individual. Sources have told ESPN that there'll be a legal battle if there's a punitive suspension by the Big Ten to Jim Harbaugh." So I don't know. Apparently, they're putting a little hold on that. I'm excited about that, or not excited about that. I was reading a chat. I was reading a chat as I was. Anyway, what's up, Evan? Thanks for coming, brother. Happy Monday. I'm super excited for today, man. Let's get this Monday started. Let's get this week going. Get through it so we can get to another weekend of college football. I'm excited for this weekend because we got a game at the shoe. We got the gray uniforms. I can't wait for it. But we were just talking about the little update on the Michigan stuff. So basically, what Thamel was saying is he's saying that don't expect an update within the next 48 hours, which it makes sense. Like if you read the rule, I should have got it up here for you guys. I'm sorry I didn't, but I was looking at it the other day. The guys from Buckeye Huddle did a show and had all the rules of what the Big Ten commissioner can do. And they do have to allow for a reasonable response, so or a reasonable amount of time for a response from Michigan. I don't know about this legal stuff. I don't necessarily think that that's even the case because the way that the rule is written, it cannot be appealed once like an actual suspension or punishment is given. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. It's super interesting. It seems like Michigan's going to fight back on it, which I'm really surprised about because if you look at a university like Ohio State, like if this were Ryan Day in this exact situation, I don't think that Ohio State would really fight back. I don't think that they would try to uh, make it to where Ryan Day doesn't get suspended. They would just kind of accept it. They would probably suspend him themselves, and we would kind of know right off the bat that Ryan Day is not going to be the coach at Ohio State going forward. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. My thought on this, and it may be a little conspiracy theorist of me, but I'm okay with that. People think that. I think that Michigan is trying to save face with their fan base. I think that the fan base loves Jim Harbaugh because they've beat Ohio State, right? Obviously, they've done that by cheating, but I think that the fan base loves Jim Harbaugh, and the university feels like they have to fight for him so that they don't lose the fan base. And I don't know. I still don't think that they're gonna win. I think that they're fighting a losing fight because I just don't see how they can play the dumb card and be like, "Oh, I didn't know about it." That's not how that works. So I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time on Michigan today. That was really the update. Like I said, Pete Thamel says don't expect anything for the next 48 hours, but we'll keep our eyes peeled and kind of see what's going on with that. I do want to move on to this Ohio State versus Rutgers game. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, not the greatest showing from Ohio State. Not something you want to, or not something that excites you if you're an Ohio State fan. The defense struggled a little bit with stopping the run. Off the offense was just out of whack the whole entire game, other than the run game, which I feel like was pretty good. So let's go ahead and get into that. I'm going to just start right off the back with the quarterback position. I usually wait a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about it because, I mean, I don't really know. I don't really know where to go from here when I'm talking about the quarterback position. Like, do I think that Kyle McCord played terrible against Rutgers? No. I mean, I don't think he played terrible. Do I think that he played good? No, I don't think he played good either. And that's kind of just where I'm at. That's what this whole season has been. Like, I don't really think there's been a game where it's like, oh, Kyle's been terrible. But I do think that maybe the injury that Kyle has to his left ankle is impacting him some. Now, in no way, shape, or form, you guys probably know me if you've been watching my show or talk to me on a regular basis. I'm not going to make excuses for Kyle McCord because he absolutely has to get better if Ohio State wants to do anything this year in terms of like the real goals, like beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, and go to the playoffs, win the national championship. But I do think that his ankle is impacting him, and I think that he is the level of skill that he has. Having an injury is something that like is really going to make it stand out because he's already not like a phenomenal player in the first place, even when healthy. And then you add in that ankle injury, which it seems like it's messing with his mechanics. I was just watching back the very beginning of the All 22 film before the show started here, and the first thing I noticed was that throw to G Scott in the beginning of the game. I'll get a clip of it and post it on Twitter after this. So make sure you check out my Twitter at CFB_stop. But basically, that first touchdown throw to G Scott, Kyle McCord, if you watch his mechanics when he threw that ball, were awful. Obviously, the throw was good, but like, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen somebody like short arm. He looked like he was like his back hurt or something. I don't know, like how I would expect like an old man to throw a football that was like 60 years old. You'll have to check it out after. Like I said, I don't have the clip right now. I'm sorry, but again, that was like early in the game. He didn't take a bunch of hits, so oh, we're back. Let's go. All right, man. I don't know what the hell was going on there. I guess my internet went out or something. But sorry about that, guys. I see that Evan said we're back in the chat, so let's get it. Let's keep going here. So where I left off at, I was talking about obviously Kyle McCord, man. I think that his foot injury is impacting his ability, and like I said, I'm not the one that's going to make excuses for him ever. But at the same time, when you watch him throw the ball and you watch how he pulls up and doesn't follow through with his throws, you can tell that that injury is impacting him and his ability to throw the ball down the field. So hopefully he'll get healthy. I mean, if that's going to be the case, maybe we need to see Devin Brown get in the game. I know that that's kind of like beating a dead horse. I know that that is something that people can, you can make your own judgment on what Devin Brown has done in the time that he's been in the game. But listen, if Kyle McCord is hurt, maybe he needs a week off. We got a game this weekend against Michigan State. I know it's a prime time game and all that good stuff, but Michigan State is terrible. So if there's gonna be a game where you want to get someone else out there, this is the game to do it. And I don't know how Devin Brown's ankle is. As long as his ankle is fine, hopefully we'll get to see him play this weekend. And maybe it'll give Kyle a rest because, like, I mean, I think Kyle has a ton of arm talent. I don't think that his arm talent's the issue. I think that he just needs to get better at seeing the field, and he needs to work on his mechanics because sometimes when he throws the ball, man, he's like way off balance, and I don't know. It ain't too good a lot of the time. So let's see here. Okay. So, all right, we were doing grades. I know I just kind of went off on a little tangent about Kyle. I'm going to grade Kyle out as a B in this game. Obviously, the interception was a really bad throw, and that's just how it is. It was a terrible throw. I don't really think it was the wrong read, and I even posted on Twitter like a picture of three wide receivers from Ohio State who were all open on that play, and I said this is the throw that Kyle threw an interception on. Now that doesn't just because I posted that doesn't necessarily mean that Kyle made the wrong read. Like if Marv was open and that's your first read, throw the ball. Obviously, it was a bad throw which caused the interception. But at the same time, like I don't know if I would want Kyle to try to throw a 1 inch drill throw and underthrow it by like a whole 2 yards as opposed to just taking someone who's open 5 yards down the field. So I don't know. Maybe that's kind of like counterintuitive to where I normally stand with Kyle because I think that a lot of the times he checks the ball down when he doesn't need to. So it is what it is, man. I don't know. At this point, it's kind of what our offense is, and I don't think we're going to score a lot of points against good teams with good defenses. So the only way that I can see that happening is if we really start feeding Travion Henderson, which that will transition us to our next position. The running back position, I'm going to give them an A in this game. I feel like they played phenomenal. Travion Henderson has been on a tear since he came back, obviously against Wisconsin and against Rutgers. I think he's had 207 and 208 all-purpose yards in the last two games. It's just, I mean, I think the impact that he has on this team and this offense is something that you really can't. It's hard to even put into words because I think that he's one of the best athletes on the field. I think that he is one of the best running backs in the country, the best running back in the Big Ten. Yes, I will say that. I think he's better than Blake Corum. He's better than Monungai, the guy that just kind of tore Ohio State up a little bit. He's better than both of them. And people didn't put respect on Travion Henderson's name simply because last year he was injured and it was, I mean, honestly, he had to put a lot of bad film out there. He really did. So I don't know. He's a really good at run blocking or not run blocking. Sorry, he's really good at pass pro too, which is something that people don't talk about. I do think he had one missed assignment in pass pro this weekend. I'll have to watch the all 22 to be sure, but the one where Kyle got sacked, the guy just kind of had nobody block him at all. It probably was on Trey, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet. But I mean, looking at Trey, Trey goes for 22 carries, 128 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, one touchdown, leading the team in rushing. Also leads the teams in receptions and receiving yards in this game. 5 receptions, 80 yards. Obviously, that is a little skewed because he took the one check down and took it for like 65 yards. I wish he would have scored on that play, man. I feel like he just needed a little bit of burst right at the end. But I think that he got caught off guard by um, some of the angles that the Rutgers players took because they took some bad angles on that play, which allowed him to spring for a huge gain. And then that guy came from like all the way across the field and tackled him. So anyway, a grade for the running backs. Chip, I feel like played really well too. Only 3 yards per carry, but only 2 carries. I mean, it is what it is. Chip is. I don't think that he is on the level of Travion Henderson, but Chip is just a really good football player. They put him out there and they let him, lead block. They let him. I mean, it seems like every game he's having at least one big play that's like a key third down pickup. The touchdown against Notre Dame. In this Rutgers game, he had 2 carries, and one of those was a third down conversion where him and Travion Henderson were both lined up in the backfield, and they handed it to Chip as like a fullback, and he went forward for 2 yards and got the first down. Again, I don't think that I don't think that what Chip brings to this team can be understated, or should be understated at least, because I think he's a great player. I think he brings the juice to this offense. So, grade him out as an A for both of those guys. Moving on to the receivers, I don't think this was the best game by the wide receivers. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. had 2 touchdowns, 4 catches for 25 yards. There was a couple times where Kyle missed him. I don't really think that Marv had many mistakes in this game. Like I don't think that he was really like dropping passes or just not getting open and when he was supposed to, nothing like that. I just think that Rutgers really played their defense to defend the pass, especially like past 10 yards down the field. Um, and I mean, honestly, it was giving Ohio State fits. So hopefully they'll be willing to make adjustments in the future if a team were to do that. Just lean on the run game. Don't try to force those throws. Don't try to force. I would much rather honestly probably have a handoff to Travion Henderson than doing a 2 yard check down to Kyle or from Kyle McCord to a Mecca or whatever, where you're just gonna throw the ball for 2 yards and then he's gonna get tackled right there because I mean he didn't have time to even make a move on a guy who was coming at him. Hand it off to Trey and let him tear him up and let force them to get out of that defense that's stopping you from throwing the ball downfield. Carnell Tate, second leading receiver today or this weekend, two receptions, 31 yards. I mean, I love what Carnell Tate's been doing this year. I think that Kyle needs to make sure that he's connecting with him, make sure that he's looking his way. And I think that we're slowly but surely seeing Carnell Tate take over that role from Julian Fleming. And I think that it's deserved. I mean, if you look at Carnell Tate, the kid is just a prototype wide receiver. He's got long arms. He's quick twitch. He is super quick with his route running. Obviously, he's still raw because he's still new to it. Still new to the college game. But I really think that he could come up with some big plays and big moments going down the road here, especially with having Marv and Emeka out there. If they're gonna like, if a team is going to slant their coverage or um, focus their coverage towards one side of the field, it's going to be the side of the field that Marvin Harrison Jr. is on, and that should open things up for Carnell Tate. So hopefully, him and Kyle continue connecting. For the grade for the wide receivers, I'm going to give them a B. Like I said, I don't think they really did anything bad. There was the one play where Emeka had where he caught the ball like 1 yard short of the first down, and just juked in place and didn't try to go forward at all and got pushed out of bounds. That was just, I think he's just knocking the rust off, man. Emeka was out for multiple weeks with an injury, wasn't practicing. So, I mean, I still, we know what Emeka is. I don't think that getting Emeka Egbuka back was like, oh, wow, who is this player we're going to get? Like, we know what he is. He's a solid player, good hands. He makes plays in the biggest moments. He's like, Emeka's biggest strength is probably playing against zone coverage. If you're going to run zone, Emeka's going to kill you. He's going to get in the open zone and he's going to make the catch. So he's kind of going to force you to play man. And then if that's the case, you better have somebody else helping Marvin Harrison Jr. or helping with Marvin Harrison Jr. because I know people talk about his ability to get open against man, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, if I'm Ohio State, I'm taking my chances with Marv against any corner in college football in one-on-one coverage. Any corner. And even if he doesn't get open, throw the ball up because, I mean, I personally think that if Marvin Harrison Jr. is one-on-one with no help, you got to have, and you throw the ball his way, you got to have like a 70% chance to complete that pass. I mean, and that's if he gets open, obviously that goes up. If he doesn't get open, he still can catch the ball. So I don't know. I'm not going to be too hard on the wide receivers. I feel like they didn't play bad. I just think that overall the team was just way out of whack in this game on offense. And they didn't lean on the run game enough. Honestly, that's my opinion. Tight ends. It was Cade Stover didn't play. Now I talked about on my show, I think on Friday, that I think Cade Stover got injured on a special teams play. I noticed it while watching the game, and nobody's ever came out or said anything about it yet. Some of the beat guys said that Cade Stover had a knee brace on his knee. I don't think that's the injury that's stopping him from playing though. I still think from watching that one play, I think that he like broke his hand or injured his wrist or something. And then it came out also from the beat guys that Cade Stover had something on his wrist, some kind of brace, some kind of something. Basically the play was he was going in for a tackle. His teammate came in from the opposite angle and he like punched his teammate's helmet. And you could tell when it happened that he was like, oh, like he was in pain. So it comes down to G. Scott, and we ended up seeing Patrick Gurd, a walk-on tight end, get out there. I don't know, man. I think the tight ends did not play bad. I think G missed a couple blocks, but he's also raw. G doesn't have like a ton of game reps to fix those mistakes. I like G, and I think that he's put on enough size now, and he kind of has the right attitude to be a tight end. So hopefully we'll see him play more. He had the touchdown catch, was a phenomenal catch. It was the throw I was talking about in the beginning of the game. Phenomenal catch by G. He had the one drop on third down, which was a big mistake, kind of stalled a drive where Kyle honestly threw a dot and G just let it go off his hands. But again, he doesn't have the game reps. Like you look back, Cade Stover last year would make mistakes like how G made in this game. And that's just it's something that comes with reps. Like, you can get all the practice reps in the world, but when you get in a game, it's completely different. I mean, obviously not completely, but you know what I mean. It's a different thing. So hopefully we'll get to see G more. I'm gonna grade the tight ends out of a B. I mean, he missed some blocks, had a drop, but he did make a really good touchdown catch and had a few other catches. One where it was a nice catch and run, which is I'm glad we've seen that because we see that a lot from Cade Stover, where Kyle checked the ball down and then G broke a tackle, ran for a first down. Obviously, stuff like that is what you want to see from your tight ends. We don't need you to be Marvin Harrison Jr. We need you to go out there and move the chains when we need you to. And that's what G. Scott did. So, kudos to him for stepping up. All right, so that's it for the offense. Oh no, the offensive line. All right, the offensive line I feel like played pretty good in this game. There was a couple breakdowns in pass pro, but I think that a lot of people are so sensitive about like the Kyle McCord quarterback situation this year that we're giving the offensive line a little too much heat, because I feel like people are expecting the offensive line to not give up any pressure at all, and that's just simply not how football works. Like you look at the NFL, and it doesn't matter how bad the opposite team is. It could be a team that's 1-6 or whatever. Like their defensive line is going to be able to get pressure sometimes. It's up to the offensive line to make sure it happens the least amount or the least amount possible. Sorry if you guys hear screaming. My kids are home from school sick today. I asked them to be quiet while I was doing this, but they're in there messing around with each other. But anyway, what was I getting at here? Okay, anyway, even if you look at the NFL, pressure is going to get given up sometimes, and the quarterback has to be able to move around in the pocket or step up or roll out, avoid pressure. I think that anytime that our offensive line allows a pressure, it turns into a sack, and people are just bashing the offensive line for that. And I don't get that. I don't see that mindset because if you look back to last year, even with CJ Stroud, not the most mobile quarterback, was not willing to run the ball or whatever that reason was for that. If that was Ryan Day, if that was CJ, it doesn't even matter. That's not the point. The point is, if our offensive line allowed a pressure, CJ Stroud was really good at avoiding that pressure. I mean, and I'm not saying that Kyle McCord needs to be CJ Stroud, but he needs to be better. Now, the offensive line also can continue getting better. I think Josh Simmons has taken a big step forward throughout the year. Excuse me. And then I think that Fryer has kind of regressed a little bit in his pass pro, but he's been really good in run blocking. So I don't know, man. I'm not down on this offensive line like so many other people are. I think the one person that I see making mistakes constantly is Carson Hinsman, but he's also playing the hardest position on the offensive line, and he's young. So I mean, he has the potential there. And what I like about Carson, the reason why I don't give him too much flack for mistakes, Carson brings energy to this team. Watch it next time you're watching an Ohio State game. Watch when they get a run play on like 3rd and short and they get the first down. Watch Carson Hinsman. I bet you see him out there screaming like, "Yeah, let's go." I like that, man. I want to see that energy from this team because Kyle McCord is not bringing that energy to this team. So we need other people on the team to do it. And I think guys like Travion Henderson, Carson Hinsman, maybe Carnell Tate when he's out there. We'll see. Guys like that bring energy to this team. All right, so that was it for the offense. I'll do the defensive grades tomorrow because I didn't plan on talking about this for this long, but I did like to elaborate on each one of the positions and kind of what my thoughts were. Before we wrap it up, though, I do want to talk about one thing that I hardly ever talk about, which is my fault, and I really should be. But Ohio State special teams, it's becoming an issue, and I think that people really need to, I shouldn't even say it that way. Some changes have to be made within the program in terms of the special teams. We are one of the few teams, I think, in the country that have a special teams coordinator that is a full-time position coach at Ohio State, and that's Parker Fleming. And every single game, our special teams is like a net negative. And when I say that, I mean it's like, okay, so they're not making a ton of mistakes, but they're making 1 to 2 mistakes every game, but they're also not making plays. Like I could deal with a mistake every game on special teams if that was paired with a kickoff return for a touchdown, a punt return to the 30-yard line that puts your team in good position, a blocked field goal, whatever. The only part of the special teams that I really think is like really good is our punt team. I think that uh, I shouldn't even say team. Our punter, Jesse Murko, I think is a really good player, punter, and I think that he's really good at putting the ball down like the 10-yard line, 5-yard line, whatnot. But the mistake that came in this Rutgers game, I think, was on him. I don't know. Like, I know that was not a called fake punt. Ryan Day said that himself, that it was not a called fake punt. So I'm thinking that he just ran without permission to run. He just thought that he was going to uh, make the first down. I don't know. He did the same thing the last time Ohio State played Rutgers and he got popped. So I think I'm going to chalk that up as maybe Jesse Mirko was trying to get his get back from getting hit hard. But it just ended in him getting hit hard again and not getting the first down, and Rutgers getting 3 points. So I don't know. Something has to change. I don't know if Parker Fleming is the problem. Obviously, not knowing the inner workings of the team is hard to know that. But if that's what his position is listed as, or his coaching job is listed as the special teams, then I think that it's fair to hold him accountable when the special teams is not playing up to par, and it hasn't been so far this year. So something has to happen there. Let me see here. All right, I want to get to the topic of the day, and then we'll wrap this up for today. So the topic of the day for me was: Is Ohio State the number one team? Should Ohio State be the number one team in college football after that performance against Rutgers? So what I want to get into, I mean, the top four from the college football playoffs last week was uh, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, and then Washington. So Washington this weekend had a win over USC, which was a close win. They did pull away at the end. I think they won by like 10. Let me find that real quick. Yeah, so 52-42. Now, giving up 42 points is not ideal, obviously. I don't think that there's a world where Washington would jump Ohio State right now, so we'll just kind of throw them out of the mix. Michigan played against Purdue, beat them 41-13. Ohio State beat Purdue 41-7 on the road. Michigan beat Purdue 41-13 at home. Really, no. I mean, I don't see how you could say in that situation that Michigan should jump Ohio State. The only team that I think would have a legitimate argument right now is Georgia. So Georgia played against Missouri. It was actually a really tough fought game. Missouri, I think, is a really good football team too. So the one reason why Ohio State was ranked ahead of Georgia was because of their resume. Ohio State had wins over Penn State and Notre Dame. I do think that Georgia's going to jump Ohio State, and I think that they deserve to. And my reasoning for that is because Georgia beat Missouri this weekend, who was a ranked team. And then you look at Ohio State's two ranked wins. One of them is Penn State. They had a huge win this weekend, 51-15 over Maryland. But the other ranked win that Ohio State has is Notre Dame, who probably will not be ranked next week in this college football playoff rankings because they lost to Clemson, who was 4-4 prior to this game. They lost 31-23. So I think Georgia's probably going to end up being number one. I think they probably deserve it, but I think that Ohio State will be number two, and I think that's where they should be at right now. I don't really think that there's any justification to put anybody else above them. The other team that I didn't talk about was Florida State. Florida State was in a battle with Pitt late, or like at least in the middle of the third quarter. That's who I picked as my upset of the week last week, and I thought it was going to happen, but Florida State pulled away, which you expect. I mean, Pitt's like a 2-6 team or something. They end up winning the game 24-7. So they probably should stay where they're at, or we may end up seeing a flip with Washington moving to 4 and Florida State dropping to 5. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that tomorrow when the college football playoff rankings come out. But I'll tell you what, that's kind of it for the show today, guys. I just wanted to go over some grades. I didn't get to get through all of them, so we'll do that tomorrow. Actually, I will not be live tomorrow, Wednesday. We'll get into the rest of the grades and all that good stuff, and then we'll start moving this on to the Michigan State game, kind of what else is going on around college football. My kids don't have school tomorrow, so I have a son that has special needs. When he is here, it's tough for me to do my show. So tomorrow when he's home from school, that I will be taking care of him and hanging out with him, so I won't be live on YouTube. But I'll see you guys Wednesday. Come back for more content. Obviously, if you like it, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace out, guys, and you have a good day.